Hello, people. Welcome to yet another episode of The Other Side. This is your boy, Rossi Robert. Now, today I'm joined by author and entrepreneur, Mr. Edwin Ngwane. Mr. Edwin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I really appreciate that.
Great. Let's get down to business. So, who's Mr. Edwin Ngwane?
So, Edwin Ngwane is an author, former banker, and now entrepreneur. Runs Kawiu Financial, which is an insurance agency. We help business owners as well as individuals with protecting their wealth. That would be the best way to say it. So we set up medical schemes, we set up life insurance plans, funeral policies. We also help people with all forms of insurance so that they do not lose their assets. And even when they lose their lives, there is what we say generational wealth created through the funeral benefits that are paid. So that is the company that I run. So basically, I can just say I'm an author. 3 books: Hustle Like the West African, How to Market and Sell Like a Prostitute, Flip the Coin, as well as an entrepreneur of Kawiu Financial.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Is Mr. Edwin married?
I'm married. I've been married for some time.
Okay.
I'm married to a very beautiful man who I met. I met Asprida some years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We've got three beautiful daughters and a son. Yeah, I have 3 beautiful daughters and a son. I don't know how to describe the son. The son is handsome or something. I don't know. But yeah, I've got 3 kids. I was supposed to have 4 kids, but we lost one.
Sad.
Ngwane. Yes, so I have a family. I'm a Christian.
Okay.
I'm a hustler, and I love living a happy life. I love money.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mr. Ngwane, you write books, and so far you've written 3 books. I love the titles: Hustle Like a West African, How to Sell Like a Prostitute.
Yes. Actually, I have 5 books.
5 books.
However,
Yeah.
there is a book that I am published. It's called The Few Find Gold. The Few Find Gold, like gold.
Oh.
That book should be, I think, I'll relaunch it next year. Then there's a book called The Wedding Master Plan. I kind of packed it because it wasn't taking me to the direction I wanted. It's a very good book, by the way. Very, very good book, but I don't want to become a relationship expert. So the thing is that I wrote it because some people thought I should write it. I had a show back then on the Copper Belt on the radio, and the people used to call in and they'll ask, they'll ask questions like, Mr. Ngwane, you teach about how to get anything, like how to get stuff, can that advice be applied on getting married?
Yeah.
And I said yes. So, and then they said, okay, let's have a program like that next week. Then we had a program, and that program, by the way, it took 2 hours, and people they were still calling in, they didn't want it to stop. And then someone suggested that write a book around it. That's how I wrote a book called The Wedding Master Plan, just to give ideas to women that actually they have more power. Women have more power in terms of making men marry them. But women don't know.
Sounds interesting, you know?
Yeah.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
So, how do you come up with these titles? How to Sell Like a Prostitute? Very, very catchy.
Yeah.
How do you come up with such?
So I'm a business person. I'm a business person. I believe that before I even write a book, I need to think.
Yeah.
I need to think about the title, because people say we don't judge a book by the cover, but people do. So before I even write the book, I should actually think, will this title be attractive? So do you know that I am I know a lot of authors in Zambia. Probably they have good content than me. They are even, better than me. In so many ways, they're more educated than me. I don't care. But when it comes to the marketability of books, I think there's no Zambian writer that equals me. Because for me, before I even write the book, I think about how I'm going to sell that book. I think about how it's going to, how it's going to make people just, fall in love with the book. Think about it. Marketing. There's human marketing 101, and marketing this and that. But then when you say how to market and sell like a prostitute, something like, what? That's what we call a moment of,
Yeah, someone will just the attention will be
a grab attention kind of moment. So when I was writing all my books, if you check them out, they actually have that.
Yeah, those titles.
Because you think about it, the few who find gold. That's an amazing title. It's not because they are my books, but I really spend time to think about the title. Like I spent a lot of time. My wife knows, like, when I'm about to write a book, the first thing that I think so much about is a title. Why? And I'll tell you why. Because at the end of the day, I want people to read the books. I don't want to write books that I'm going to pack in my house.
Yeah, true.
So I want people to read, but I also don't want them to read for free. I want them to buy them. So if they will buy, the book must be intriguing before they even buy. So there has to be a business concept around the book before I write it. That's the reason why I come up with such titles, and the titles are designed to grab attention.
Wow, sounds very, very interesting. So, like, when writing the books, where do you draw the inspiration? Like, do you just sit and words begin to just come in your mind, and then you get a book, you start writing? Where do you draw inspiration from to write?
The first thing that I think I would say about writing books is that you cannot write books if you're not a reader. You must be a reader to write. You can't write if you can't read. So the first thing that happens with books is that first you need to engage in them. I'll tell you that there's a book called Still Like an Artist. And I want you'll be very surprised that the hit songs that you know have been sampled. You know sampling? You know some music sampling?
Yeah.
There's a tune of an old song that was a hit, that was put in a new song, but you can't know it. But there is. Maybe it could be just drums or sticks and what. And that, because people associate it with some former hit, but they can't tell which hit it was. It kind of makes them like this new one. So what happens is this. Even in writing, it's like that. I'm a writer. The first thing that, by the way, a writer who has never read the Bible is a poor writer. I'm telling you. Because the Bible is a book of wisdom. When you read it a lot, you can write almost about anything. Because the Bible teaches about relationships, it teaches about business, it touches all areas. So if you just want to learn something, the very first book that I would encourage you to read is read the Bible. Then it becomes a source of validating your beliefs and concepts that you want to share. So if you're going to share a concept to say, this is what I believe about this, do you have where you can quote? You should read. So for me, I read a lot. I have a lot of people that I look up to. So there is a whole lot of information that I have from different kinds of books. That includes the Bible. And then I put them together, and then I add my own understanding, my own interpretation to the same concepts, and create my own unique source. So it's like you've been taught how to cook kalembla is like this and that and that.
Yeah.
And then in the end you say, oh, actually, you can add a little bit of ginger. So have you ever tried ginger kalembla? So this is marketing. Yes, it's marketing. We all know about marketing, but marketing like a prostitute is what I'm teaching you.
Oh, great. Well, before we proceed in that area of entrepreneurship and book writing, you mentioned something that is that really caught my attention about reading the Bible. How often do you read the Bible? Or maybe before you even come up with a book, you go through the Bible, get inspiration, then come up with a book.
I read the Bible quite often. Now I'm even reading the Quran.
Okay.
Yeah. The reason why I'm mentioning the Quran now here is because I am not an this is what is called absolutist. It's this and those should die. I'm not a person who believes that. When you read a lot, you tend to come and understand life deeply. Because you know that for me to convince a Muslim to be a Christian, first of all, I must understand his point of view. Understand why he believes what he believes in. Why does he believe in the Prophet Muhammad? Why? So now I'm beginning to look at the side of Muslim.
Interesting.
And I've also been studying the Jewish kind of beliefs and Judaism and stuff. Not that I want to convert myself to Judaism or Islam, but when you have a deeper understanding of your brothers out there, even when you bring them, when you want to preach the gospel to them, you preach the gospel with love and understanding of where they are before you bring them. So it's like you move to where they are before you bring them to where you are. So I read the Bible a lot. When I was a child, actually a lot of people encouraged me to be a man of God or to be a preacher or to be something like that. I don't believe that you do have to become a pastor to preach the gospel or to evangelize or to play a role in ministry. You can do it in many ways. You can be a writer like me, you can be a business person like me, and still contribute effectively to the kingdom of God. I do. That's why it's the body of Christ. I read the Bible as often as possible because I kind of draw a lot of inspiration from the Bible. When I was young, I read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, I think, more than 3-4 times.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Out of, just reading out of interest. Like, I used to love the stories in the Bible and what, and I would see that not reading to study, but just to read. I think I was in grade 6, 7, 8, somewhere there. I was introduced to the Bible. So I would read the Bible just because they were interesting stories and what. And I used to find them fascinating and I used to like it. So I would, I got to a point where I liked to read the Bible. So I would refer to it a lot. And the reason why for me I read the Bible a lot because many business principles that I hold dear to kind of are backed by biblical principles. So all business principles that I hold dear, somehow, somewhere, when you read the Bible, you find that the Bible teaches that. So I love reading the Bible. I refer to it a lot, and because also I'm a Christian, and it's a book of inspiration. It's a book of salvation. It's a dear book for me. It's my number one book. So apart from, I can remove even my books, I can remove all the other books. If I was to just remain with one book and remain with that one book alone, I would still get the Bible to read. Yeah.
Are you a devout Christian? And at which point did you really meet God? A lot of people. We have a lot of Christians nowadays. Everyone goes to church. Actually, Zambia is a Christian nation. So when you ask even a person on the street, they'll tell you, I'm a Christian. I go to church. But at which point would you say that, okay, this is the time I met God?
So you've asked me a question. Are you a devoted Christian? I would say no, and I'll tell you I'm a believer. Because the Christian, when people talk of Christianity and this, they talk about it in terms of churchism. Many people are churchists. They are not actually Christians. They are not believers. So what we call Christianity is the attendance. How often do we attend church? Which church do we go to? But you find that some of these people don't even have a relationship with God. They don't have a relationship with Christ. So if you ask me, at what point did I understand that God is important? I was very young. And I'll tell you that my childhood was full of Christ in me. And my mother would attest to that. I was a preacher in the family. I converted a lot of people to there were people who never used to go to church in my family, friends who never believed in, but I have friends now who are elders in the church. I've got friends that are committed to Christ. So through me, God using me through me, and they became Christian. So I became a Christian at a very young age, and I became a Christian through reading. That's why I love books. I was reading this book at a very young age, and turn of events, you'll be surprised. It was by the Salvation Army. They were teaching about the why you need to avoid certain things like watching TV and read good books and what. It was a Salvation Army book, small book, young age, and they told me why you need to read more books. And from a young age, I decided to start reading, and then I started reading these books, and then I became an before I became an Adventist, I was RCZ. I was Grace Ministries. I started going to Jehovah's Witnesses. I went back to Baptist. I was at Baptist, RCZ. I wasn't settled. I was looking for something, and at some point I said I want to become an Adventist, and that's how I became an Adventist. But I had so many touches with so many churches, and that's why I'm not somebody who just this is a church. I'm not a churchist. I'm a believer, and I truly believe. I'm saying this, and I know some people out there will disagree with me. In all these different churches, people will be saved. In all these different churches, people will be saved. They will not be saved because of the church. They'll be saved because of the relationship they have with Christ.
Okay, great. We're learning something here.
Yeah.
You're an author of the books that we've talked about at the start of the program. What challenges have you faced so far? Coming up with books. I know there are a lot of authors out there who write books, but they doubt themselves how to put them out there, and they face quite a number of challenges. Sometimes it could be financial, or maybe sometimes self-belief and everything. So, what challenges have you faced so far, being an author, and how to overcome those challenges?
Challenges will always be there. Man sinned against God some time back, and that's how we brought these things on ourselves, because we sinned. We had a perfect world. So first of all, we have to recognize that this is self-inflicted pain that we created for ourselves. But still, God has been merciful. God is kind, and when you plan, you put in your work, God finds a way of rewarding you. So what I would say is that if somebody is a writer out there, somebody is an author, believes they can write. If you believe you can sing. If you believe you can do something, do it. You see, the thing is, a lot of us suffer from inaction. Like, we don't take steps. We are waiting. I am waiting for the day I'll become a writer. I am waiting for the day I'm going to become an author. How many pages have you written? No pages you've written. So there are many challenges. The first challenge is procrastination, which is you don't know when to start. So starting is now. So you start by writing. The more you write, the more you sharpen yourself, the more you challenge yourself to finish what you're writing and put it in a book. Then we'll come to the issue of now putting what you've written, the manuscript itself, into a book. There are many challenges, of course. There's publishing, there's formatting, there's coming up with, so many things. There's some things that you must pay for. What we lack in Africa is collaboration. I'll tell you where. Musicians have understood this and they know that it works. And I'll give you the two sides of the collaboration because we have to flip this coin. There is the artist part, the writer's part, and the other people's part. I always challenge people that have money to invest in talent. People that have money must now invest in talent. Now, I'm not saying give out, handouts. They start giving money for free to talented people or people that have ideas or people with skills. No. What I'm talking about here is a business arrangement. So you find a talented person. Is this an artist? Is this a guy? Yes. My friend, I've seen you've got talent, but you have no money. I have the money. We are going to go into a contract where I'm going to fund you when you become a biggest artist. For every money that you'll be making when you are a big artist, 50% is mine. That is an arrangement. So we need to get to that level. But I'll tell you, the other problem is artists themselves also, and us writers. Sometimes we're not willing to let go of our work. We want to die with our work. We want to keep it to ourselves. Then where do you go with it? Nowhere. So sometimes what you need to do is recognize that there are things that I do not have. Is it the distribution channel? Is it the funding? Is it the market? What don't I have? Maybe you can bring in other people that have got skills, that have got money, other resources that you do not have. But you must be willing to share the rewards of that, investment that you're going to make with them, because they can't give you for free. So this is where now we need to start collaborating for profit. I didn't say collaborating for your own benefit or for my own benefit, but for profit. Both of us must find this arrangement profitable. So people that have got books, can you work with people? You can find somebody, it could be somebody, a colleague, it could be somebody at church, it could be somebody in your family, and say, you know what, I have an idea, I've got a book that I would like to, but I don't have money. Can you invest in it? I don't want you to give me free money. I want you to invest in it. When the book comes out, you are a shareholder in that book. Let's get to that level where we turn talent, we turn gifts, we turn skills into a business. But even if you do not have the money, allow others to come in, sponsor you, and they become part of the business. Those challenges of finances, those challenges of how do I start, will stop, because the people that maybe the graphic designer can accept and say, I'm going to do the cover for you. But all I want is you should mention my name in your book to say the graphic design was done by this person. That's all I want, so that I can get more business. Maybe somebody will edit it for you for free. All I want is that this book, you should mention that the editing was done by so and so and so. If you can collaborate, if you can learn how to leverage other people and other resources, those challenges are not there. They shouldn't even be there.
Great. Now, a lot of Christians, they struggle with financial discipline. Being
Christians?
A lot of Christians in particular. Of course, I know it's a lot of people out there.
But Christians shouldn't.
Christians shouldn't. So, being a financial advisor and a business consultant, how would you advise people who are struggling to, most people nowadays, they struggle to save money because they work and the only money they work for is for bills. And, when you save money, it has to save you at some point,
Yeah.
Save money so that it can save you.
Yes.
But how do you achieve financial discipline as a person?
As a person.
As
Let me start with this, and I've been talking about this a lot. A lot of teachers, a lot of financial educators teach that people must learn to save. People must have the financial discipline to save. And I've always said, I cannot teach somebody about saving before I teach them about making money. Many people do not have the problem of saving. Many people have a problem of making more money. We make so little money that we only survive. Especially in Africa here, our salaries are little. Our earnings are too little. So people barely manage to survive. They just survive.
Yeah.
So to ask them to even save, it's a stretch.
You save so that you can save you. That's the point.
So to talk about financial discipline, the first thing that I should talk about is the very first thing that I should talk about is, are people able to make more money? That's why I'm on to the side of, can we make more money? Can we start businesses? Can we start side hustles? Because I'll tell you, when you start making more money, 1,000 kwacha problems disappear. 2,000 kwacha problems disappear. Why? Because you're making 20,000. So the problem of a 500 kwacha is no longer a problem. But look at it. If you only making 1,500 kwacha, a 300 kwacha problem, because it becomes a headache. It becomes a headache. To somebody telling you, you need to be saving a 300 kwacha, it becomes a headache. Why is it a headache? It's a headache because you're making 1,000 kwacha, 1,300. If you were making 20,000 kwacha, 300 shouldn't be an issue. So the very first thing that we must sort out in our communities is making money. Can people make more money? Then after people have learned how to make more money now, this is when now we should talk about, can we now learn how to create behaviors that reduce unnecessary expenditure? Because I'll tell you, the other reason why we spend unnecessarily is behavior. We have created our own behaviors. Who said a birthday should always be celebrated with a party?
Yeah.
That's a behavior thing. You have created certain behaviors that are necessary, where people now spend money where it doesn't matter. Who said chilling should be every weekend? No, it's just chilling.
Just chill.
And now people have turned chilling into some sort of requirement for life. Why should you be chilling every time? When do we work? Look, the difference between us and some of these whites, I'll tell you, whites, when they have a holiday to chill, it's a big one. As we like small, insignificant chillings. The smaller ones, I don't know why we major in minor things, but we like it to do small chills. But when you ask an average African, they've never taken a holiday that is worth 100,000 kwacha. But if you add up the money they spend on small chills, they've spent more than 200,000 kwacha.
More than their net worth.
Yes, they've actually spent more than 200,000 kwacha. But if you ask them, can you take a trip to Bora Bora? Many of us wouldn't. We do not have that capacity to do it. However, when you look at the small chills, the small birthdays, the small things, the committee is the one. We have actually spent more than 200,000 kwacha. How our problem is lack of planning. Our problem is that we have adopted behavior which is unnecessary. And lastly, we do not know when to say no. Because in Africa, we are easily manipulated by relatives, friends, uncles, neighbors, and all that. We have so many people that come up with, I have this that you need to spend money on. But I'll tell you, financial discipline is an art. Of also learning to say no. The money that I have is planned for. So I'm not going to give it to you. There is nothing wrong with saying no. Because look, I'm not here to be giving you money. We need to learn to say no, because in Africa, people are entitled beyond measure.
There's that sense of entitlement.
Yes, there's that deeper, not small, a deeper sense of entitlement where when you say no to somebody that you will not give them money, they will hate you. They think you're the problem. But isn't it that the problem is them for not learning how to make their own money? Look, I have no issue with once in a while you coming to ask me for money. But if it becomes a perpetual habit where you should always be, now you even start asking money from me every month. I know you have gotten paid, Mr. Ngwane. I just assist me with the 500.
Something.
When it becomes a habit in you to beg from me, the very first thing that I must do is to create boundaries between you and me. Because I'm not helping you, I'm not helping myself. So, financial discipline, 1, make more money. 2, learn that certain behaviors create certain unnecessary expenses. You must control them. 3, learn to say no. Learn to say no, because some of the expenses that we do are based on our inability to say no to some people who are over demanding because they've got a certain sense of entitlement.
Okay, great. Mr. Ngwane, you're an author. You're also a CEO of Kawiwi
Financial.
Yeah. So before I ask this question, maybe you would want to elaborate more on the company and what it's all about.
So Kawiwi Financial is an insurance agency, to be a broker very soon. What we do is we help companies to set up medical schemes, group life, group funeral for their employees. We do that for companies. We also help companies, negotiate the best, insurance for their property, cars, work. There's so much that companies do. There's so many risks that are involved in their businesses. So we help them get the best quote so that they protect their businesses from such risks. So that in case some uncertainty happens, instead of them paying from their business coffers, an insurance company can take care of that. So that's what we do.
Okay.
Even at an individual level, we help individuals to set up, insurance. Let's say we call it family legacy. We call it legacy plans, education legacy plans, where when a child wants to go to college, do you have the money readily available? So you must start planning, putting aside money. So you kind of created an education plan for your children. I also believe that if somebody dies, generational wealth includes life insurance. A lot of people don't know that, but life insurance is a way of, if you're a little child and you died in the next 5 years, how will that child survive?
Yeah.
So to manage that risk, you give it to the insurance company and say, I'll be paying you 250 kwacha. If something was to happen to me whilst I'm still young, I want you to pay 1 million to my child so that this child does not suffer. And those things, I think we never take care of them in our African. We think they're useless. That's why we hate on our uncles. That's what good story, Amalume, those stories of Amalume, uncles
fighting over property.
Yes, not being not taking care of our children when people die, and our orphans really suffer because there is really nothing for them. So basically, our company is for wealth creation. It's for protecting businesses. That's what we do. We want finances to be in order. That's why we are here.
Okay, so Mr. Ngwane, you are an author and the CEO of the company. You play so many roles.
Yes.
Your husband.
Yes.
So how do you handle all these demands when they come all at once? How do you level up? How do you balance it?
Work-life balance. I do not believe in work-life balance. I've never believed in work-life balance because life is about choices. If you choose to be an entrepreneur, you have chosen a certain kind of lifestyle that is is going to be very different from being an employee. You've chosen, you've chosen something that is very risky. So you should be prepared that sometimes you are going to make losses. You should be prepared that sometimes you're not going to be home. You're going to be somewhere in some other country, in a hotel, trying to think about how you're going to get certain goods and what. You need to be prepared that you're going to be on the road, you're going to be on a plane, going somewhere, and there are chances that that plane can crash or the car can be in an accident. You've chosen yourself that. and you're going to be away from your family. Imagine those are the decisions. Now, as people, we have a problem. We have a problem of choosing things that are kind of in conflict. So you want to be an employee in one area where you're so comfortable, you don't want risk, but you also want to be an entrepreneur. You can't be an entrepreneur and you have to be ready for something. So work-life balance, even just when you're an employee, you choose to be, if you're an employee, you choose a very demanding job. Let's say you're a lawyer. I'm sure you know that being a lawyer is very demanding. But at the same time, you want to be a family person, to be available, to play golf all the time, to do this and that. Sometimes you won't play that golf. You have to do court sessions. Sometimes you won't be available to your family because there is a case that is hot right now that you need to dig deep so that you can win this case. And you're going to be at the office at 04. You're not home. So those demands means you're going to make certain decisions. But if you're going to be saying, I also want to be at home, I also want to win a case, this is how people become average. This is where you're either going to be an average husband, average lawyer, average churchgoer, average Christian, average community member, average everything. Why? Because you can't give your all to anything. At some point, you must be willing to choose something and sacrifice something. The decision on what to choose to focus on and what to sacrifice is up to you, based on your priorities. You are going to choose what is a priority to you, what is important to you, and what is something to sacrifice. Those are decisions you must make. But in case of when you say work-life balance, that can't happen. So my wife understands I am an entrepreneur. I'm somebody who sleeps at 04 sometimes. Not sometimes, most of the time. 04, I'm going to sleep. And guess what? I also choose to wake up at 10 hours. That's a choice. Maybe the question would be, why do I choose to wake up to 04? That's a time when my children are sleeping, my wife is sleeping, and I'm alone to myself. No disturbances. I can write, I can research, I can do things I want between that time. Can I allow myself to sleep up to 10 hours? Yes, I can. Why? Because I chose to leave my job. Imagine if I didn't choose to leave my job. I'll be fighting with my employer. My employer will be saying, why did you come at 10 hours? So there has to be decisions that you have to make for yourself and say, maybe for the lifestyle that I want to live, I must be a teacher. Because when I'm a teacher, I'm going to be a family member. I'll be knocking off at 12 hours or 13 hours and be there for my kids. People might think that's not, but I'll tell you, being a teacher is one of the smartest. Being a teacher is one of the smartest career choices you can ever make in your life if you want to be a family person who raises kids in a better way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So, what are some of the factors that? Okay, let me just rephrase it like this. What are some of the principles that have helped you to be where you are today? I'm sure there are principles that you work by, that you've set, standards that you've set for yourself.
Too much.
That have helped you to be where you are today, because obviously it's not accidental.
It's not.
Yeah.
The very first thing of I think my life is that I'm a dreamer. I'm a full-time dreamer. I dream. Joseph was a dreamer. And dreams, guys, dreams, as insignificant as they might seem, they are big. I'm not talking about the dreams you dream at night. I'm talking about the dreams you envision, like you see something about yourself. I, Edwin Ngwane, dream a lot who I want to be. And here's the thing. The problem is dreams is a life that hasn't happened that you want to happen. And because of that, because it's not a reality, it attracts mockery. That's a problem. So what happens is that you dream, and when you tell somebody, they will think you're a joker. Because think about it. when I was in the village, I used to say I'll stay in town. I'm going to be staying in town. My dad was afraid of staying in town because he used to say rentals are expensive in town. Now I'm a kid, I'm in the village, and I'm saying, me, I want to stay in town. So it's like kind of I'm insulting the intelligence of my parents by saying I would like to stay in town in a good life, nice. So somehow, even my parents themselves, they'll say, so you think us, we don't have brains that we brought you here in the village. You see that, eh? So even in our communities, when you state your dreams, somehow you are challenging people to say, so this guy thinks he's smarter than us.
All of us, yeah.
But guess what? I don't believe in people who say do not share your dreams. No, share them. Share. Let me tell you, share them. Some of the people who fight you are necessary. That same fight is necessary. It will take you to your destiny. That's what happened to Joseph. By selling him as a slave, that was actually the destiny to the same prince he dreamt about. If they didn't sell him as a slave, think about it.
Yeah.
So they needed to sell him so that he can go become a prince in the Egyptians' land. So share your dreams. Now, I'll tell you why it's important to share your dreams. Because by the confession of your mouths, you are stating your reality. What you are stating by me saying I'm the CEO of Kawil Financial, and our dream is to become the biggest financial institution in this country. We are dreaming for ourselves, and we are stating what our vision is. By that vision, by us stating the dreams, it will force us to take steps of becoming what we envision or becoming what we dream. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. So I believe in dreams. I believe in taking action around those dreams. I believe also that after you take action, you must be disciplined. You must be consistent. You must be determined. You must be resilient. You must persevere, because challenges will come. Challenges. And lastly, you must have utmost faith. To me, if you remove utmost faith, then forget about it. What is utmost faith? Utmost faith is believing that this thing that you've started will work. A lot of people do not believe in themselves, do not believe in their businesses, do not believe in their families, do not believe in whatever it is that they do. On the other hand, almost every little thing that I have, I look at it as a big thing. And I believe in it, that one day it will happen. When I look behind, I have seen that kind of behavior helping me achieve things. And I think I can never let it go. I always believe with utmost faith that whatever I try to do or do is something that God has shown me that I should go after, and there should be something for God to show it to me. Then it must be something big.
Are there times when you get discouraged?
Absolutely. There are many times when you feel, is this worth it? I call it not discouraged, by questioning. There are times when you start questioning. And I'll tell you why we question. We question because the results don't come as quickly as we want them. It's very common, and it's normal. It's normal to start doubting and say, is this thing really going to work the way I want it to? Even Kawil Financial struggles. And I start asking myself, did I choose the wrong industry? Did I choose the wrong business? Did I choose you start questioning so many things. But then you realize it's because I am not getting instant results. And many of us are addicted to fast life, fast results, fast things, fast everything. But life doesn't always work like that. To do great things, you must have a certain level of patience. You must be willing to stick in there and wait. and say, you know what, this thing is worth waiting for. And I think patience is key in achieving those things when you're losing faith. Yeah.
Is there a time that maybe could you describe a time that you ever thought of giving up and say, I think maybe I wasn't called for this,
I don't know, but I have had situations where I don't have the money, and I have worked so hard investing in something, and haven't gotten the money I wanted from where I've invested money. And usually the question that I ask myself is, should I start something else or should I quit? And the answer that I give myself is that if I quit and start something else, won't I go through the same process? I would rather stay here and learn how I can tweak certain things and still make this same thing work. Instead of quitting, starting, quitting. How many times are you going to quit and start? Yeah. So for me, I like to tweak. By tweaking, I mean making a few changes to the original plan. So instead of changing or stopping the plan altogether, but diverting a little bit from the original plan within the original plan. So like my goal is to get to Chipata. Instead of turning back, that's not me. My plan is that since I found that there is no bridge at Ngwane, is there somewhere where I can go cross? So instead of crossing directly there, I'll go, by the riverside, and I find somewhere where I'll find a boat somewhere. Because there's no bridge. And cross over from a far distance and then continue with my journey. And maybe I'll find a mountain. So instead of going straight, I'll go, by the side of the mountain, but still I'm going to Chipata. The goal is to reach Chipata. Yes, the challenges of the mountains, the rivers, and everything are going to be there, but the goal should be to reach Chipata.
Okay. Mr. Ngwane, how can you advise maybe someone who's pursuing the same things that you are doing? Maybe want to be an author, want to be to run their successful businesses, and they want to follow your path. What advice would you have for them?
You must be willing to fail. I give this advice a lot. The problem is that we give out, anyway, not me, out there people are given false impressions of quick or easy success. There is no successful person who got it easy. I know a lot of people think some people got lucky.
Yeah.
If it is luck, try it. If it's luck, try it. Maybe you can also get lucky. There is a lot of failure that happens on the journey to success. And if you embrace the idea that you will fail along the way, it becomes much easier. Because failing is inevitable. So you get things wrong, you make mistakes, you think, you trust people that will swindle money, will swindle your money. There are things that are going to happen, and to some extent it can get very frustrating. So if somebody wants to start a business or wants to become a writer, they need to understand, if you are a writer, you write a book that no one will buy. It's okay. Write another one. Okay?
You just keep trying.
You keep trying. Because, you see, I believe that you can't keep on trying at something and keep failing. At some point, you just have a breakthrough. At some point, a breakthrough will come. Because, when you just hit something so hard, at some point it will break.
It will break.
It will break. So I believe that if you are somebody, you want to become an author, start. If you want to become a business owner, start a business. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. All those people that are telling you that it's going to be easy and you are going to have it easy are lying. You will fail. You will not have business. Some people mock you. Some of my friends used to laugh at my books. They used to make fun of me. Friends, relatives, colleagues at work. Today, they're like, I'm proud of you. I prayed for you.
And that's when people want to be close to you and say, I was there in the background.
Yes, I was there. We were praying for you and we really made sure that we supported you. Do you have any book that you bought from me? No.
No book.
They don't have, because they didn't believe in you. And it's very common for people who are close to us to not see us. That's why Jesus said the prophet is never appreciated in his own country. And it's accept that as well. If you're starting something, accept that some of your relatives, some of your friends, they'll see the carpenter in you. They'll see the same old guy. People look at our past and they'll be like, this is this guy.
This guy, we know him very well.
No, not this guy. That's why you find that even a man of God, if people knew him to be a certain person, and it creates a church around that place, it's very difficult to grow it. Just go somewhere else. Go to Capernaum.
Go to somewhere far where they don't know.
Leave Galilee because it's not going to work. So my emphasis is that if somebody wants to become, the very first thing they have to do is to start. When they start, they must be willing to fail. They must be willing to make mistakes. They must be willing, to get it wrong. They must be willing to be imperfect. Don't. The problem with our school system is that it teaches us that we shouldn't get anything wrong. But apparently in life, you get some things wrong. And the more you get things wrong, you learn, and then you become better. And then at some point, you just become so good. You miss a few shots, but at some point you will score.
What do you think our school system or the curriculum is not teaching young people today as they're growing up? What do you think is lacking?
I like that question. If an educator is out there, our school system, number one, should help our pupils or our students to discover themselves first. Don't teach them about Zinjanthropus. Teach them about them. Ask them, who are you? The school system should ask Edwin Ngwane, what do you find easy to do? What is it that excites you? What is it? Instead of punishing this person for failing mathematics, maybe mathematics is not what I enjoy to do. Now our school system is about forcing girls into STEM education, forcing people into this, forcing people into that. What we don't do is putting people. There is this man, Dr. John C. Maxwell. He says, when you position people in their, I want to use his actual words. When you position people in their actual places, they do very well. But if Cristiano Ronaldo is put as a defender or as a goalkeeper, he'll look like he's a foolish person or he's a bad player, but not. So we need to learn to position our pupils. So the first thing is that, can we help our pupils to find themselves? Who are they? Because the moment they start finding themselves, then we'll find their talents, their gifts, and then we will find the skills to give them. Then if we can help our pupils discover their talents, gifts, and polish their skills, this is where I say the definition of quality education is where a dropout becomes a functional member of the community. So meaning somebody drops out at grade 9. Our school system says when you drop out, you will be a failure. But quality education shouldn't make dropouts failures. You know why American dropouts end up creating companies? It's because they are so good. You think Mark Zuckerberg just decided to drop out. He dropped out because he found something that was worth billions.
Yeah.
Our educational system, because it depends on jobs, you are a failure. Why? Because you won't get a job, because you won't get that paper. But we need to create an education system where you like, no, I don't need to continue. I've actually found what I was looking for. You can actually, in the second year, third year, you've actually found an idea to a certain problem in your community. And now go create a business model and work on it, and not the paper. Now here, we focus on the paper. Education is about how many papers do you have?
Which subjects do you have?
Yes, that is more important than the knowledge you acquire. So for us now, we should now start asking ourselves, how can we make our students better, such that even if they do not have a paper, they should have the relevant knowledge, skills, gifts, and what to become functional members of the society. If we figure out that, like we equip people with knowledge, we equip people with skills, polish their talents, polish their gifts, we will have an educational system that is going to produce people that are going to change the world, change our communities, change everything. We are not going to be talking about unemployment, because these people will be coming out and say, no, I've actually learned how to do this, how to remove waste, how to make waste. Imagine somebody came up with a way, instead of collecting waste from a home, but turn that waste within the home into energy, into what, and there's nowhere to throw that waste. Imagine such kind of thinking. Maybe that's where we need to go.
Great. I must say that is so enlightening. How would you describe the role of God in your life? So far, thus far you've come. What do you think? Okay, without God, I think I wouldn't have achieved this. I wouldn't have achieved this, and that. What has been the role of God in as far as your career and your life is concerned?
I call myself a certified hustler.
Yeah.
So I'm a certified hustler, but I am a true believer of God, Jehovah Jireh. I believe that without God, I wouldn't be where I am. And some people, I usually have some people on Facebook, because based on where I am, my audience has got atheists. My audience has Muslims. My audience has got Hindus. My audience has just got Africanists, these that worship trees. I have them as in my audience. And when I talk things of God, and I'm not ashamed at all. I will not stop talking about God because there is an atheist who's my follower, who's going to unfollow me. No. Maybe that atheist needs me actually to become a Christian.
True.
So the role of God has been powerful in my life. And at a very young age, I discovered that it is important to be a Christian. Very, very young age, I was seeking God. I was going to different churches. Very, very young age. I don't know why I was changing churches, but I think I was looking for God. And I found Him. We have had a relationship. I think for me, actually, in the few who find gold, not God, gold, meaning this gold, silver gold, the few who find gold, the last chapter in that book says almost any successful person, this is a big statement I'm about to make right now, almost every successful person worships some kind of God. That person worships any person that is successful, like is at the ladder. That's why, worship is good. It's something else. But it's just that some people worship money, some people worship trees, some people worship rituals, some people worship systems, some people worship other people. But I'll tell you that any person who's successful has an art of worship. There is a God they worship. It's just that Me, I worship God Jehovah. Some worship a different kind of God.
Yeah.
But you cannot remove the spirituality from success. Success is kind of spiritual. If you are not going to be worshiping, you are going to be just a person that doesn't worship anything. But I don't think you can go anywhere. But I need to insist. Even the people who say, no, but me, I don't go to church. No, check their life. There is something they worship. There is something they worship. And that thing that they worship has driven them to somewhere. But the consequences are also different for them. They are the end, because you see, at the end of the day, success and the end are different. For different people, depending on what they go for, depending on what we worship. But I think every human being must have a God. Must have God. The reason why I'm saying a God and God, I am emphasizing that you must somehow worship. On the debate of who or which God, this is not the time. But any business owner, especially a business owner, the tribulations, the trials, the failures, the things that happen in business, at some point, you might end up joining cults and start worshiping cults. And that's why, for me, I choose God. Because me and God have got a very good relationship. He takes over.
Yeah.
When things become tough, I don't stress it much. I'll just say, I've done what I can. Take over.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap up, we have a short quiz. A very short quiz.
Okay.
Small quiz.
Okay.
Bible quiz.
Bible quiz.
Yeah, we want to test your your Bible knowledge. I know you've read the Bible. I don't know how many times you've told me to say you've read your Bible from
Genesis to Revelation.
So I think our questions are very basic, and you're going to get them all.
But I'm not good at John 2 verse 5. But let's go.
Okay, all right. In which chapter? In which chapter? Okay, I'll say in which book and chapter do you find the story of Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead? It's a tough one, eh?
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I can't. Okay. I'm not good at mastering the exact. I'm a fan of Luke.
Oh, you're a fan of Luke?
I'm a fan of the book of Luke.
Okay.
Like, big fan. I'm not too much of a fan of the book of Mark. I don't know how, but I'm a fan of the book of Luke. I'm a fan of the book of John as well.
The book of John.
Yeah.
Okay. John the Beloved.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
But I don't know the exact. I can't.
Okay. All right. There's still more. I think you still get some.
Okay. Let's go.
Questions.
Okay.
At what age was Jesus Christ baptized? This one is easy.
It's 8.
8.
8 years old.
8 years? Oh, not quite correct. At what age was Jesus Christ baptized?
Wasn't it 8?
No.
Oh no! 30!
Yeah, correct.
I was going to, when he went to the temple for the first time. No, it was 30.
30, finally, you got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
I was actually, when you go to the first time he went to the temple. Okay.
Who baptized Jesus? I think this one's easy.
John the Baptist.
John the Baptist. Okay, all right. What words do you think were spoken? What words do you think were spoken? Actually, what words were spoken as Jesus Christ was being baptized? The heavens opened, and there was
the dove that came.
Yeah.
And the words came from God and said, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I'm very pleased."
Great.
Yes.
Who succeeded Moses when he died?
Moses was succeeded by Joshua.
Okay, correct.
Yes.
Great.
Stuff like that, I know. Because stories.
You're not bad at all.
I love stories.
It's just that you've mixed up everything. I'm sure that you've got a lot to do. You write books, and sometimes that knowledge,
Yeah.
But we try to taste it here on this show.
It's
been a pleasure having you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming to the show.
I really appreciate inviting me to a Christian podcast.
Great.
I that's the reason why I said I will come, because it's a Christian podcast. Christian entrepreneurs should not be ashamed of being Christian entrepreneurs.
Great.
They should not. Actually, Christian entrepreneurs should be proud to confess God in their meetings, seeking businesses, and say, I'm a Christian and I'm looking for business.
Yeah. Powerful, sir.
They should.
Powerful.
It's very important.
Great.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure having you. On behalf of my crew, we are out of here. See you on the next episode. My name is Ross Robert. We're out of here. Peace.